All right, welcome back to the Sports Pulse, and wow, what a wild card weekend we just had. It felt like every game had a storyline, every play had weight. But honestly, Elena, the biggest takeaway for me, and probably for a lot of people, didn't even happen on the field during a game. It happened in a press conference.
Oh, you're absolutely right, James. We're talking about Mike Tomlin, aren't we? That moment after the Steelers lost to the Bills, where he just walked out when asked about his contract situation and future. It just hung in the air, didn't it? It left everyone guessing, wondering what's next for him and Pittsburgh.
Exactly. I mean, here's a coach who's never had a losing season, a Super Bowl winner, a staple of the NFL for what feels like forever. And for him to react like that, it just speaks volumes about the pressure, the speculation, and maybe even some internal dialogue we're not privy to. It was a very un-Tomlin moment in a way, or perhaps a very Tomlin moment showing his frustration.
It was raw, wasn't it? And you know, the Steelers, they fought hard to get into the playoffs, overcame a lot of adversity with quarterback injuries. They got trounced by the Bills, but that wasn't exactly unexpected. But for the conversation to immediately pivot to his job security, I think it really highlights how the narrative can shift so quickly in the NFL. 1 minute you're celebrating making the playoffs, the next, your legendary coach is being questioned.
Right, and I think that's the thing. For a coach of his stature, with his history, it's not usually a question. He's always been the guy. But the Steelers haven't had a deep playoff run in a while. And you see teams like the Texans, with a rookie quarterback and a first-year head coach, absolutely explode onto the scene, and it just puts a spotlight on what other teams are or aren't doing.
Oh, absolutely. And speaking of the Texans, can we just talk about C.J. Stroud for a moment? What a performance. To hear him after the game saying it's a blessing, just try to keep it real and authentic, it just speaks to the kind of player and leader he is. He's not just talented, he's got that humility and self-awareness that you rarely see in a rookie, especially on that kind of stage.
He's absolutely phenomenal. And DeMeco Ryans, his coach, just flat out said, he's the guy. No hesitation. That's a huge vote of confidence, and it's earned. Stroud is playing with such poise, making throws that veteran quarterbacks struggle with, and he's doing it in high-stakes situations. It's truly incredible to watch the trajectory of that franchise with him at the helm.
And it makes you wonder about the long-term impact on the league, right? We're seeing this influx of incredible young quarterback talent. Stroud, obviously, but then you look at Jordan Love and what he did for the Packers against the Cowboys. Everyone had written them off, and he just came out and absolutely picked apart a really good defense. His quote after, "We were trying to be the most physical team," it shows that mentality, that belief they had in themselves.
The Packers-Cowboys game was probably the biggest shocker of the weekend, purely because of how dominant Green Bay was. And Love, you're right, he embodied that. The confidence he's playing with, after basically sitting for years behind Rodgers, it's a testament to his patience and the coaching staff's development. It's a fantastic story, and it just further highlights that sometimes you need to let these guys develop rather than throwing them into the fire too soon.
Absolutely. It really shows the value of having a strong support system, a coach who believes in you, and an organization that's willing to invest in that growth process. Both Stroud and Love have benefited from that. They've been set up for success, and they're delivering in spades. It's not just about raw talent, it's about the entire ecosystem around them.
Yeah, and speaking of ecosystems, let's pivot to the Rams-Lions game. That was an emotional roller coaster, especially for Matthew Stafford. Coming back to Detroit, playing against his old team, in a playoff game, it just had all the makings of a Hollywood movie. And while the Rams ultimately lost, Stafford's performance was still vintage, heroic in its own right.
It truly was. And his quote after the game, "You can't have those," referring to the critical turnovers or penalties, it's the kind of blunt self-assessment you expect from a veteran. He knows what it takes to win, and he's not going to sugarcoat it. That game was so tight, every single play magnified, and those small mistakes cost them. It's a harsh truth of playoff football.
Definitely. And you look at the other side, the Lions. They finally get their playoff win. The energy in that stadium, the city, it was palpable. It's a huge moment for that franchise and for Dan Campbell. He's built something special there, a resilient team with a clear identity, and a lot of it comes down to culture and belief, which you really hear echoed in his post-game comments.
That's such a great point about culture, James. And when you think about teams that consistently perform at a high level, like the 49ers, it's exactly what Kyle Shanahan talks about. He mentioned after their game, that's why they're able to play at such a high level. He's referring to the consistency, the depth, the unwavering commitment of his players. It's not just about one or two superstars, it's about the collective belief and execution.
Right, and that consistency is what separates the contenders from the one-hit wonders. The 49ers, the Bills, even the Chiefs, despite some bumps this season, they have that ingrained culture of winning and high performance. It's not something you can just conjure up. It's built over time through tough moments and strategic decisions.
And that ties back to Tomlin, doesn't it? He's built that culture in Pittsburgh for so long, but perhaps the expectations have evolved, or the roster hasn't quite kept up with the vision. It's a constant recalibration in the NFL. What worked last year or 5 years ago might not be enough today. Especially with these young guns like Stroud and Love coming in and just raising the bar.
It's the ultimate what have you done for me lately league. And even for a coach like Tomlin, who has done so much, that question eventually comes up. I really do think his future is going to be the biggest storyline to follow this offseason, especially now that the dust has settled on the wildcard games.
Absolutely. It's going to be fascinating to see how it plays out. Will he stay? Will he go? What does that mean for the Steelers? And then, on the other side, we've got these incredible young quarterbacks and dynamic teams moving forward. The future of the NFL feels really exciting right now, full of fresh faces and established legends still battling it out.
It certainly does. From the drama of a press conference walkout to the exhilarating performances on the field, this wild card round delivered on all fronts. Elena, always a pleasure breaking this down with you.
You too, James. And to all our listeners, thank you for tuning in to the Sports Pulse. We'll catch you next time as we dive deeper into the NFL playoffs.